covering all 4 major sports in the District of Champions. It's the DC Crossover Podcast with your hosts, Mike Cerrone and Ben Simpson.
Hello and welcome back to the DC Crossover. We are back for a football season, episode number 121. That is Mike Cerrone. I am Ben Simpson. It feels good to make our triumphant return. We had the summer off a little bit. We did some shows here and there. You can go back and listen to that. We did different drafts. We did different food talks. We kept it relaxed for the summertime, but now with the football season back, we are back as well. And a lot to talk about here as the Commanders get ready to start their season. We got college football in full swing. The Nats are still terrible. We got basketball and hockey season is right around the corner. I mean, it's crazy to think that it's gonna be time for that. Soon. It's one of those things where it's like you forget that those seasons. They just creep up on you. You're like, all right, I feel like it was NBA season not that long ago. Now suddenly it's going to be, in October. The next thing you know, we're going to be back to a full slate of sports. It's going to be the best time of the year, though, because you get your college football, your NFL, you get NBA back, you get NHL back, you get college basketball back at some point, NBA. I mean, it's a great time. We're heading into a great time of year, Mike.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is, as you mentioned, having quote unquote the summer off. The funny thing about it is we were so consistent for about a month and a half. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, we're on a trip here. Oh, okay. You're out of town here. Oh, your daughter's sick here. Or I got, practice here for the golf team that I coach, stuff like that. So it's like, the funny thing is we couldn't keep it because if we stayed committed to it, we would have just ran out of drafts to do for this summer. And that's the biggest because we're not going to be sitting there talking about the Nats. We're not going to be sitting there talking about Luis Garcia and his war or something like that. We're not gonna mention all these different little tidbits about the Nats because there was nothing huge coming out of Commanders camp. We were going to talk about that, but then, like I said, our schedules just kind of hit a wall like late July. And then all of a sudden we've had like one episode of the last like 3-4 weeks, but we are back, as you said, because the football season is upon us and sports are coming back for this year.
Yeah. It's been fun. I mean, with college football being back, it was a good week 0, but week 1, especially, you just had some crazy games. Obviously Notre Dame, Ohio State was pretty good for a bit, at least for a half, and then Ohio State was able to pull away. You had Georgia just demolish Oregon and show that, like, hey, Georgia may be the best team in the country. As good as Alabama is, I mean, Alabama was playing a snoozer. Georgia was playing a legit team in Oregon, and they destroyed them.
Bo Nix,
You had Florida and Utah in a really fun game that went down to the wire.
UNC, App State.
Yeah, UNC, App State. NC State, East Carolina, missing a late extra point and giving NC State a win that really they didn't deserve.
Brian Kelly losing his first game as LSU head coach.
That is in another insane game as well. I mean, there was so much. Houston barely beating UTSA, beating them by 2. I mean, that was a nuts game.
Right.
I mean, of course, you're a Virginia Tech Hokies, crap in the bed there against
Terrible.
ODU. I feel like for me, I kind of like that college football comes back before the NFL is officially back, because obviously, there's nothing better than during the season where you're like, all right, Saturdays for college football, Sundays for NFL, you're set for your weekend. It gets cold out, so you're like, all right, we're inside anyways. We're just going to be watching these games. But I kind of like that tail end of summer. Like, there's still some outdoor time going, but you've got college football starting, and usually they give you a couple solid matchups in week 1 with some ranked teams.
Right.
And it's like that little calm before the storm of all the football being back. I kind of like that week 1 where you just like, you can settle in. They got games like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I mean, they got games all over the place schedule wise. It's like, what are we doing here? Like the fact I was so confused. I was like, isn't the weekend done? Isn't week 1 done? And then I was like, oh man, we still have Clemson, Georgia Tech on Monday. It's like I've been watching college football for like 4 days straight.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see. Obviously, if you're in the betting world like us,
complaining.
And surprisingly, I haven't betted on any games yet. But obviously,
that's shocking to me.
Yeah, it is shocking. I just been busy doing stuff and not really focusing on, like, I wasn't really
man.
focused.
You got to get back on the betting grind here.
I mean, I'm trust me, I'm going to once
you
the
gotta
Bills
start losing
Rams
some money here, man.
yeah, once the Bills and Rams play on Thursday, which is tomorrow.
Yep.
As we record this on a wacky Wednesday here. Obviously, golf season for my team is ending here soon, so we'll get back on schedule. But at the same time, tomorrow, Bills, Rams, definitely betting on that one. I'm going all Bills all day. Definitely.
Oh, yeah, same. Yeah, I already put money on them.
Throwing some props in there, obviously. But overall, I mean, that's the thing is, I had a wedding last weekend and all that kind of stuff. So been kind of busy, not really paying attention to college football that much as of late. But like you said, it's kind of like a precursor of what's to come. It's like the prequel, like House of Dragon or something like that for Game of Thrones. Even though I haven't watched it yet. Well, I haven't watched it.
Okay,
and I don't have HBO either, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, okay. I've got HBO, but we're waiting. I think I'm going to let more episodes collect before I do the bit where you
right,
because it's television's so weird now because you have some shows that do the weekly thing, and then you have other shows that are like, here's 8 episodes all on the
Disney's doing that too with the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, they do that, and then some of the other ones too, and it's like, I mean, I'm fine with both, but it's just like, I'm gonna wait. Until like maybe the whole season's out, and then I'll just binge it or something like that.
Hey, our favorite show though is out, releasing more and more episodes. 600-Pound Life. So,
you still sticking with that, huh?
Oh, me and Jess watch it all the time, man. It's like, I mean, you just see these people on there, and when you're looking at a big person, capital BIG person,
right?
You just wonder because obviously something's wrong up there, but just seeing their mannerisms, some of them, like I saw one where, hey, Craig, man, I know you like it too. That's the biggest thing that scared the hell out of me. I'm not gonna lie. I was like
who's in my house?
Yeah, that's why I was thinking. I was like, whoa, it came with my ears. But anyways, so looking at it, and now I'm thinking about the mannerisms for some of these people. Like I said, something's wrong up there. But when you're looking at
no, nothing's wrong up there.
Yeah, but
get to 600 pounds.
Yeah, well, dude, I think the biggest I saw was 770 so far. But the biggest thing about it is some people, their mannerisms are like so, like in the infant stages. Like Dr. Now was talking to this one girl, and she's like, yes, and like wouldn't like say anything. He was like, hi, how you doing? And she was like, I'm good. And he's like, you gained 38 pounds. You're not good.
30. Yeah,
oh, dude. And that's the weirdest thing is how they're possibly able to do that, where they're 590 some pounds or whatever. They lose like 6 pounds and they're like, oh yeah, I'm just getting back into it. Like I'm really going to go after the diet this time. And then all of a sudden, like they come back, they gain 28 in 2 months, like 14 pounds a month. That's a ton.
Speaking of that, how is I know last time we talked like 3 weeks ago or something doing the show, you and I were both lamenting about the fact that we're both just fatter than ever. How is your last like month or so? How is the diet been going? Okay, so stay the exact same.
Well, that's the problem. The problem is that because school started back up, and then I have golf practice or a golf match or whatever it may be right after. That's the issue. It's like I'm playing, around with my teammates, or not my teammates, my players. But at the same time, it's like I only played 1 or 2, and then all of a sudden, like they have a match, or they have a range practice or something like that. So and I get home at like 7. So it's like, at that point I'm out and I'm working and I go to practice, all that stuff. But the season's really short, so it's going to end here soon. And once the season ends, then I'll have time in the afternoon to go work out and stuff like that. But that's the biggest thing, man. It's been straight stagnant. It's been literally like on the tip of the iceberg, just hanging out, just teetering on the top.
I'm with you. I'm not much better. I really am right around the same. I will say the trip up to Maine, which we haven't had a chance to talk about on the show.
Right.
The trip up to Maine definitely did a number on me, just because a lot of lobster rolls, a lot of buttery lobster rolls, a lot of beer.
Love that butter.
It was a good time, but I will tell you my gripe, and so and then we'll get into the meat of the program. But so. You and I have both been a part of weddings, as far as like groomsmen and things like that. And one of the parts of all that is the day of the wedding. Typically, there's some sort of room that the groomsmen go to get ready. And usually
Right.
like there's some pictures or something like that. So it depends on the venue, but usually there's some sort of open
What
space.
do they call that?
Yeah, a groom's room. I mean, I don't know, like something like
The
that.
groom's room.
So like my buddy Ian's wedding, there was like a real cool room that had actually like 3 TVs,
Oh,
a
that's
couple
sick.
couches. Like
Nice.
that was the coolest one. I know for my wedding, there was just like a big open space and it was fine, but like
Right.
usually there's something like that. So for this wedding in Maine, instead of like a rented room or whatever it was, they were like, all right, well, this guy's because the wedding was on this resort, so there's like hotel rooms and stuff. And he's like, we're gonna all get ready in so and so's room, and so I'm like, okay, whatever, maybe it's a big room. So we get there, and like the way this guy's room was, it was like he had his like bedroom, there was a bathroom, and then there was like a living room type space. It was one couch, one chair, a small TV in the corner, and then this giant sloped ceiling that took up half the room.
Oh,
And so when I get there, I'm kind of
like you're at the Luxor in Vegas.
right, yeah, there you go. And when I'm there, we got there, and I was kind of like, this is gonna be interesting because there's like 10 dudes that are supposed to be in this room, and like 2 parent and like the dads and like the brother, and it's like there's gonna be like 12 people in this room. There's one couch, there's one chair. You can't really stand in half the room because of the ceiling. And that's when the wheels start turning. I'm starting to go like, oh no, this is gonna be terrible. Like this is my nightmare. I don't like being claustrophobic. I don't like having a bunch of people, and
Right.
that is exactly what happened. It was like 12 guys. All you could do was either sit on the floor, or obviously we gave like the dads the couches and stuff because they're old men, and like the rest of us are like sitting on the floor
Ugh.
eating this like sub sandwich, and then like when it comes time to get changed into our tuxes or whatever, it's like there's no room to do it. There's nowhere to stand. There's nowhere to put your like hang your stuff. You're just like you're like, what are we doing here? And we had to be in this room for like an hour and a half or something like that. And they're like, the person's coming in taking pictures. I'm like sticking my head out the window, because I'm trying not to sweat my ass off because it's really hot in this room. We got 15 dudes here, barely any AC. I'm starting to sweat a little bit. I'm getting my little pocket square and kind of starting to do the dab a little bit.
No, you gotta have the bandana, man. You gotta have the bandana.
Because I'm like, this is the wedding hasn't even started yet.
Square.
The wedding hasn't even started yet, and I'm sweating. And then next thing you know, they're like, all right, and the whole wedding itself was going to be outside. It was like 95 degrees outside. Sun just bearing down on us. It's 4 o'clock or something. So it's the heat of the day. Great idea. And then they're like, the last thing on this was, so then they're like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're all the groomsmen are going to get on this boat. And then because the wedding was like right by this harbor, they're like, all the groomsmen get on this boat. It's gonna like go around the harbor for like 15 minutes, and then it's gonna come back, and we're all gonna get off the boat, and then the ceremony's gonna start. And like that's how. So I'm like, all right, okay,
It's
I
a
guess
lot of wheels turning
whatever. So I start walking. So here's the thing: to get to the boat, you got to go through a dock, right? This dock is one of those like floating docks where it's not stable. It's like it's shaking a little bit. And so we're all in our suits. We're all in our suits for this wedding. And I'm starting to walk on this dock, and I'm kind of like, if I slip off this thing and fall into the water, I am going to ruin the wedding, because they're going to be like, it's going to be like all the groomsmen and then this guy who's soaking wet. Like and we had to buy these suits too. So like, it's like, all right, I've just spent like $300 on this suit or whatever. So like the whole time I'm taking baby steps, I'm almost like crawling on this deck. I'm just like, I don't want to fall here. Everybody else is just prancing around like they know what they're doing. And I was there was a couple moments that where I totally thought I was going to slip off this thing, and then you have to get on this boat, and this boat's shaking and rocking, and it's like nobody wants to point at me for the reason why it's shaking and rocking, but it's like clearly it's the big guy that's making this boat about to sink, and it's just like it was just like the most stressful situation. And then for the wedding itself, and you've been at weddings where like it's tough when you don't really know that many people. It's like I knew a couple of the guys that were in the groom's party or whatever.
Right.
But after that, it's like, I don't know this guy's family. I don't know this guy's uncle or cousins. Like, what am I doing? Like, making small talk with these guys like I'm ever going to see them again in my life. And it was a tough time, man. It was a tough look. The only thing that I survived off was those lobster rolls, though. I'm sending you pictures of them. I mean, dude, we're talking unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, so you're thinking about all those people, and they're just thinking about this for you.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, I don't need to know this guy. That's exactly it. It's like, I mean, some of the conversations I kind of just checked out of. I was just like,
Oh yeah.
I don't really need to know anything about you because, like, I'm never going to see you again in my life. I know we're making small talk and all, but, like, it's just, this is pointless. This is a pointless conversation.
Well, that's the funny thing, though, is that, when it comes down to weddings of, people you don't really know too well, like, obviously, if you go there and, you have a group of people, at least you can hang around with that group. But when you go and it's like out of town and like they've been out of town for 10 years ever since they moved there, and like, it's a smaller wedding, so a lot of people couldn't make the trip, so they got a lot of people from work or a lot of neighbors or whatever, because they've established themselves up in the Upper Peninsula or whatever the hell they call that.
Right.
And is that what they call it? I don't even know.
UP, man.
UP. So European. So
Sure.
Sorry, that joke just came in my head. But man, that Craig, man, he's the hometown hero here. So that's the biggest thing, though, is that when you go there, you're like, okay, who's really gonna be here? Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, who's gonna show up? And that's the thing is, I've been to a couple weddings like that over, my life. From, I guess you could say, college on, when people started getting, married and whatnot.
Right.
And a couple of those, there was one that I went to, that was out of state, and I went, with a friend, and it was just me and him, and we went out there for a wedding from the, I think it might have been in Nashville or something like that. So it was kind of cool, but all of a sudden we went out there, and like, I didn't know anybody except for like maybe I can make small talk and I can talk to people, and I can do it all the time. But it's like, when you go out there, it's like, and you don't want to be that guy, like, all of a sudden it's doing the cha-cha slide, and they're like, hey, there's that guy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
the dancing guy.
Here's the dancing
sweaty guy.
It's the dancing sweaty guy who fell off the dock earlier on the fish scales.
Right.
But it's just weird, man. When you go to a wedding, you don't know a lot of people, and it's not like a group of like 5 or 6 of you that you can hang out with. Then it becomes real awkward, and then you do the Irish goodbye really
soon.
soon.
The worst is when your significant other is part of the wedding and you're not.
Yeah.
And so like you have to be there like days early or like hours early and all this sort of stuff, and they're involved with all the activities that they have to be involved with, and you're just sitting there like, I don't know anybody here, and the one person I know is involved in the wedding, so she's got to go do all this other stuff, and you're just like, I'm screwed right now. Like that is, or like you go travel for that wedding, and like they have to go do all this stuff, and you're just like stuck in your hotel room, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I'm just waiting around,
Well, and honestly, I like that because I can.
Well, that's not too bad, actually. Now that I think about it, I don't mind that. I don't mind that. You throw on a little House of Dragons. And enjoy yourself. Yeah.
The worst part is that luckily at a wedding I was at a couple months ago or whatever. I think I might have mentioned this to you or whatever. So Jess was in the wedding, but then all of a sudden, when we had the transport, luckily the day before we had like the groom's not the groomsmen, the groom and the groomsmen, and like the dads, and I was invited because I play golf. And we all had to scramble and stuff like that. So it was like 24 dudes. So I actually knew some people prior to that.
Yeah,
so the good thing was that like I saw the guy that was one of my partners and his family on the transport bus and all that stuff. So that was nice. But it's like, if I didn't do that, then I would be like sitting there by myself in this tour bus
of the bridesmaid. Like that's all you are. That's your identity.
That's always what you. It's a weird thing when someone's like, "Hey, how do you know the couple?" And you're just like, I'm just the plus one.
I don't. You just go, I don't know, but I came for the food.
Oh, but hey, the last couple weddings that I've been to, though, pretty good food. Not gonna lie.
For this one, the rehearsal dinner spread was actually better than the wedding day spread, which was surprising.
Really?
Yeah, rehearsal dinner was like a buffet thing. And then, but for the wedding itself, it was one of those things where you had to choose the plate, like, when you got the invitation or whatever. So, like, I chose like steak or whatever. And then when it got there, it was fine, but I wanted some more. And that's why buffet style is always the best, because you could load that puppy up.
Oh, yeah. And me and Jess have been talking about the Jimmy Buffett style, basically.
That's the way to go, man.
I loved it, man. When we had that, I loved it because they had the fish, and then had a chicken and
you
steak.
Get a little bit of everything,
dude. My plate was a mountain, and I didn't care. I was so full. I felt so good. Oh man, it was great.
See, that's the thing. It's like I was hungry after it. I was like, I'm ready to eat something else after this wedding.
That's rough.
That was a tough. That was a tough part of it. But
I'm not gonna lie. Last thing, the last wedding I went to, we ate, and it was good food and stuff like that.
Right.
But at the end, it was, I don't know what time it was, 11:30, 12 o'clock, something like that. We get back to the hotel room and I'm like, hey, let's order some pizza. And I literally doused an entire Domino's pizza and it was one of the best Domino's pizza I ever had. I mean, it was so good. I'm not gonna lie.
That is incredible. And then you like wake up at 2 a.m. and your stomach hurts, and you're like, God, why did I do that? But in the moment, you're like, this.
Yeah. I had a Pizza Hut pizza like 2 weeks ago, and it was the worst pizza I've ever had in my life. It was so bad. Dude,
I've heard a lot of good things about the pizza recently, and so
it was the one on Eldon Street, so it probably wasn't the best one to
get. You should have stayed away from that one. What are you thinking?
That's Sketch Market 101.
That's monkeypox town right there. That's where it originated.
Yikes!
Let's talk a little football.
We are the Commanders.
Obviously, the season is upon us now, and
yes,
we didn't do a bunch of like preview shows and all that sort of stuff. But now we're going to be in the thick of it anyways for the season. So obviously you'll be getting. So what we'll be trying to do is just for those who care, listening to the show. We're going to be trying to maybe target Sunday evening episodes especially with game days and stuff with the Commanders playing at 1 o'clock or whatever, either Sunday evenings or Mondays or something like that, so we can give you a good recap and our thoughts on the game itself. Obviously, if it's a Sunday night football game, you're probably not going to hear our thoughts for a while.
Most likely it's going to be the regular Monday shtick,
Yeah, exactly. So, heading into this season and this week 1 matchup and things like that, obviously this is a pretty. I mean, every season's important, but this season, especially now with a new quarterback at the helm, with some of the shine worn off of Ron Rivera and company, and kind of being like, all right, now here is kind of the year where you kind of need to show, are we going in the right direction or not? Still a lot of question marks on this team, things like that. I'm very intrigued because I feel like the Commanders are, while I'm not expecting them to win a Super Bowl or anything, I do think they're flying a little bit under the radar. I don't know if it's because of the name change or what, but I feel like nobody's really talking about this team at all. And I do think, while this isn't an incredible team, I do think the division being as weak as it is, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility the Commanders could possibly be in the mix. Obviously the Cowboys are the favorites probably, but, I just think that nobody's talking about this team, it feels like to me.
I mean, the biggest thing is no one's really talking about the team.
It was a 7-win team last year.
Yeah, but the biggest thing is no one's really talking about the team in retrospect because of the last 3 weeks. There's been so many, not really spoilers, but so many things coming out of camp from whether it be, John Keim or JP Finley or one of the guys on the beat that go out there day in and day out and have seen, the first team reps, have seen the second team reps, have seen, guys on the secondary field or whatever, recovering from injuries or whatever it may be. And that's the biggest thing is, Antonio Gibson fumbles early. Then all of a sudden, Brian Robinson,
shot.
Yeah, he gets injured by a bullet.
Yeah.
But obviously, we don't know the full prognosis of that so far. When it comes to, but everything seems.
I know he was in the locker room yesterday or today or something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously on crutches and stuff. So who knows? Yeah, who knows?
Well, the thing was, they did say that the bullet somehow missed everything.
Yeah. It was like the best possible way to get shot.
Yeah,
it was literally like, not to be insensitive, but it was literally like, yeah, like he's almost lucky in the way that he got shot, in that it didn't nick anything major, that sort of thing.
No bone, no arteries,
good
no, yeah. But I mean, that's the thing is he got lucky for it, and that's good. We're glad to see it. But he was, one of the rising stars out of camp, and he was one of the controversial draft picks of this team. But the biggest thing is when you're looking at it, there was just no flashiness. There was no, and that's the one thing I hate about preseason is that,
God, I hate the preseason.
If you I mean, I love the 3 games because it's so over so quick, and I do love the week off like this week. So if you have injuries, maybe they can heal an extra week. It's kind of like a mini bye week. But the biggest thing for me is like you're looking at this team, and it's kind of annoying because you look at a team like the Chiefs, you look at a team like Brady and the Bucks or whoever it may be. Those teams that have quarterbacks that go out there and just motor down the field, like you're trying to show something with the first teamers. But our first teamers on offense didn't really do anything. And that's the biggest thing is we weren't scoring a lot of points. And yes, you can take that for what it's worth. You can take the Ravens 28 million game, whatever win streak
right.
the preseason.
It's meaningless.
Yeah, it's meaningless. But the biggest thing is that those teams that are established can still move the ball because, you're not really sitting there prepping for, the Chiefs, or you're not sitting there prepping for the Ravens or whoever you're playing in the preseason. No one cares about the preseason. It's there to get, game time for the guys that need to make the team or at least move up the depth chart. But the biggest thing for me is like, I'm just tired of this team going out there and like, oh, we're going to play our starters for 2 series or something like that. Put them out there for a little bit longer. I mean, it's like, yeah, obviously you're risking injury, but we're also risking Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's 47 years old and is on one leg apparently or whatever, and goes out there and
was our guy.
Does 1 quarter and he's out for the season. So it's like you're looking at it and saying, you can only preserve these guys so much. And that's my biggest thing is when you're Carson Wentz and you're in your 3rd system in 3 years and you go in there and it's like, oh, okay, we're going to limit him and we're not going to play him that much, all that kind of stuff. I understand you don't want to show anything, but you got to go out there and give some of these guys reps. And that's the biggest thing is there's only so much you can do in practice. And for me, the preseason really hurt this team because people were talking about them. They were not really the buzz, but they were the worker bee that's over in the back that like everyone was like, oh, look, there's the Commanders over there. They're doing a little bit here and there, and they did a decent draft and they got Carson Wentz. We'll see what happens. They were those people in the background and now they're just the I don't even know what other insect to use. That's somehow in the hive that's like buried underneath like a million other bees that no one cares about. And that's the biggest thing is you're looking at it and you're seeing that come out in the whole entire matchup predictor with the Jags in the first week where we're only favored by 2.5 on ESPN. Now, other sports books could be different, but it's like, I mean, the Jags won like 2 games last year.
It's unbelievable. I mean, like, I get it. Look, like, I think the Commanders, we'll get into some. I have a couple like props and over-unders we can talk about in a bit.
Right.
I think this is, at the end of the day, a 7-win team, or they're coming off a 7-win season under, like, much worse quarterback play, I'd say, than what they're hopefully going to be getting here this season. You've got a lot of the same returning characters. You've got, Terry McLaurin now having a stable, good quarterback. You got Jahan Dotson, who's supposed to be the real deal. You've got Curtis Samuel, who will hopefully suddenly appear to be a good football player again. And then
you've got,
and then you've got some of the usual suspects on the defensive line and that sort of thing. And so it's like it's not like this team got worse really in the offseason. So I'm kind of like, why are we thinking that this team is only 2.5 point favorites over Jacksonville, who's awful? It's very weird to me.
And that's the thing is, obviously, we're going into the season without Chase Young. As of right now, he's on the PUP list, so he's not going to be playing until week 5.
Sure.
But you can't really look at that and say, I mean, he didn't really play, presumably well last year.
Yeah, he wasn't even. That was what we were talking about last season. Was like, where's Chase Young? Why is he not showing up and stuff like that? So it's not like that's a big detrimental miss.
Exactly.
We've still got the Payne, Allen, Sweat. Those guys,
Yeah, and Cam Curl's a little hurt, but when he comes back, obviously he was a hit for the 7th round. Benjamin St. Juste, apparently he got a lot of rave reviews last year. I didn't really see too much from him, but I believe he got hurt later in the season. I mean, you got guys that are in their 2nd year. Bobby McCain's in his 2nd year. William Jackson's
it's like the same team basically coming back. You're looking at the depth chart. It's like, I know all these guys. I know Jamin Davis. I know Cole Holcomb, who had a really strong season last year. Like we've got, it's all the same suspects. So it's like, why are we not thinking that with the couple additions of, Dotson and Wentz and some of these other guys, Turner on the offensive line, some of these other guys, it's like, why are we not thinking this could potentially be an 8 or 9 win team?
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is you're looking at, we lost some. Obviously, we lost Sheriff, but we ended up getting Trey Turner, who the other Trey Turner
we had one Trey Turner left. The other came
we got the other guy spells his name differently.
Yeah,
but this Trey Turner, obviously, he's played and started for other teams. Obviously, the Steelers being one of them. Andrew Norwell, he's well known. He played for Jacksonville, so he might even give us a little tip. Who knows?
Cosme coming back.
Cosme coming off injury. That's right, and that's the biggest thing is like, I just think that this team has improved, but to only have, that little bit of window is kind of like, okay, let's be honest here. So I just think that the improvements that they have on this team, they re-signed JD McKissick, which was huge. Obviously, Antonio Gibson had a 1,000-yard season. You improved the quarterback position here. Jahan Dotson, as you mentioned, Curtis Samuel, he's still somehow healthy. Logan Thomas is probably going to start in the first week of the season. So you're looking at this team, and just saying that, how did they go from winning 7 games with Taylor Heineke at quarterback, with Terry McLaurin being the only target pretty much on this entire team? Somehow De'Ami Brown's still on the team, can't catch a ball in preseason from what I heard. You're just looking at a lot of the different moves that improve this team. But this, I don't know what the odds makers are saying. Maybe there's something at a Jags camp that, Taylor or not Taylor, Trevor Lawrence is I've been saying Taylor Heineke forever now.
Right.
Like Trevor Lawrence is all of a sudden maybe doing a spark down there with Doug Peterson. You never know, but Travis Etienne is going to be a problem, I think. But hopefully that's what they were saying, is they wanted Jamin Davis to go out there and cover Travis Etienne, because that's the biggest thing, is because he's got sideline to sideline speed, as they like to call it. Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence were at Clemson together, and that's a huge 1-2 combo from the backfield, coming out of the backfield, and so on and so forth. So just looking at it, I think that this team improved, and especially looking at the depth chart, it's a lot more, I guess you could say, a lot more promising than it was last year after the preseason, looking at the names that are on this list.
I mean, we know these guys, and we know that they can, in different variations last year, like you said, a bunch of different shuffling around, stuff like that. They won 7 games with this crew for the most part last year.
Yeah.
I just think that, and getting into some of the props, it's like, I know that one of the big ones is 7.5 over under, wins this season for the Commanders. And like, for me, and I know a lot of this depends on scheduling and opponents and all this stuff, but for me, I feel like I would take the over for sure on the 7.5. Because I feel like this team has got to be able to improve at least a win over last year with a much better quarterback and all these other stuff that we just talked about. I feel like
is that minus 110?
This one's 105, but yeah,
105. Okay. I'm 105. I'm kind of shocked by that. Honestly, looking at it, it's just, I think that this preseason helped betting, because I was honestly going to look at betting that they were going to, because honestly, if you bet for them to make it to the playoffs, that was like, I think for some reason, I have it in my phone somewhere, it was like plus 700 at one point.
Really?
Just to make the playoffs. Like maybe
this one is only plus 158.
Yeah. So this was like right after the Wed signing and stuff like that. So I think it was before the draft and everything too. Maybe it was a while back.
In the Super Bowl, plus 8,000. There you go.
Oh, maybe I'll throw $100 on it. Hey, that'd be a nice chunk of change. I'm not gonna lie. But that's the biggest thing though, is I just think like we said, going back to the whole entire starting roster, the depth chart, and everything like that, they improved. They didn't lose a ton. Deron Payne's on a contract year here, so he's got to show something. And I just think that when you're looking at Jamin Davis, this is his time to shine. You got 1 year in, no more excuses. Basically, when you're looking at it, a lot of these guys, this is going to be their last year or bust, pretty much. Carson Wentz, same kind of thing. If Carson Wentz sucks, then all of a sudden we're probably going to get rid of him next year and then cut our losses. So it's going to be kind of crazy. Honestly, there's a lot of question marks. But like you said, the roster is pretty much a lot of the same guys.
And I'm with you. Like, yeah, I'm not trying to be like I'm drinking the Kool-Aid and this team's going to win the Super Bowl or anything like that.
Yeah,
I just think there is a certain level of disrespect towards the Commanders right now, and I think that this team should be able to fly under the radar. I think it's almost better to fly under the radar, have a little chip on your shoulder, kind of be like, hey, nobody's talking about us. Let's make a statement here, especially when you look at their early schedule where you got the Jags and then you're at Detroit. And look, all respect to my Lions, but at the same time, I think that the Lions are a team that's more, they're down here still. And the Commanders are definitely above them and further along in their, in their track. So I feel like, you could realistically have this team be, and with the Eagles right after that, that's going to be a big test in week 3. But in reality, this team could potentially start 2-0, 3-0 heading into that first Dallas game. So I think, that's why there should be a little bit more excitement, I feel like.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, just running through the schedule real quick. Now, I don't really have a win-by-win analysis right now, but I still
we don't have to go
definitely
through
think
everything. Yeah.
that you hit the nail on the head right there, where you're saying it has to be over 7.5. Because think about it. We can go through it really quickly. Just mentioning the wins. Just mention the wins.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Detroit.
Yep,
Okay,
that's 2 right there.
hopefully.
Eagles, you got to think we'll at least split that
Eagles
series.
split.
In my
Okay,
mind.
that's one. Dallas, I would say split.
We could split. Yeah.
And Tennessee loss. Chicago win.
5.
So that's 5. Green Bay loss.
Yep.
Indy probably a loss. Matt Ryan, I think, is an upgrade. Minnesota.
That's a toss up.
Kirk coming back. Philly, we already split that. Houston, huge win. Atlanta, big win.
6.
New York
7.
and New York again.
We
have to win.
We should.
You have to win the first
one.
one. You have to win that first one.
So there's 8. There's 8 right there, and that's not even. And then you finish up the season with
Cleveland. You do have Deshaun Watson back at that point.
Yeah.
San Francisco, who knows what happens all the way over there,
Yeah.
and Dallas. So I mean, right there, that's 9, or that's 8 right there.
Yeah.
So it's like, and we gave some question marks up there. So that's the biggest thing.
Exactly, and there's a chance, some of these games, you pull something out. Like you got the Titans at home. Obviously Titans are a darn good football team, but hey, you never know. You're at home. Some crazy things happen sometimes in the NFL.
Well, that's the problem with this team, though. Is that what you said? You never know what's going to happen with all the good teams, and then all of a sudden the bad teams, like Chicago, all of a sudden will lose by
they'll
10.
beat the pants off us. Yeah. Yeah, that is true. So yeah, and I think that is the one thing about this team, and that's a good point. And that we experienced this last year, where like it seems like this team, when you have full confidence in them, is when they let you down, and then when you had no confidence in them, that's when they would surprise you and they pull off a big win or something like that. So
hey, I do like the 4:00 games though. That's going to be fun to watch because we usually never get 4:00 games.
Yeah,
Obviously, we got the October 30th. Right before Halloween, that's against Indy. That's going to be a pretty cool game. Then obviously you got at San Francisco on Christmas Eve at 4:00. That's going to be awesome to watch as well. But then we got 2 primetime, 8:15 on Thursday and Monday. So that's going to be pretty fun. And if they make a splash, obviously later in the season they got the flexible schedule. So you never know when obviously you're playing New York and Cleveland obviously too, and Dallas again. So overall it's going to be fun to watch. But I think 8 games is easily to be attainable.
Some other prop bets that I'm seeing. The other one that really interested me was this Terry McLaurin over under 1,025.5 receiving yards.
1,025, you said?
1,025.5 receiving
give me a
yards. The under is minus 115, and that's where a lot of people. It's interesting. So you obviously you look at last year and his stats. He was around 1,053 yards receiving last year, but he was dealing with pretty terrible quarterback play as well. And so I do wonder if having Carson Wentz there now, obviously you could make an argument and say, oh, maybe Curtis Samuel's going to get more looks, maybe Jahan Dotson's going to get more looks. But at the same time, I really think Scary Terry could put together a really solid season this year, especially having a really solid quarterback there. So, that's an interesting one to take a look at, I would say, for the bettors out there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to log into my DraftKings account. Obviously, I haven't been in there in a while because I haven't been on baseball.
Yeah, it's like, nope, we're not letting you in. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the biggest thing is you're looking at that bet, and I'm trying to look. Oh, my account's locked. All right,
perfect.
It literally just went live.
Yeah, that was a spread I found online, so I don't know if that's the DraftKings.
But I wonder if you can, because I would bet some money on that right now, where I would go Scary Terry over 1,000 yards. And us getting plus the wins. Right. So I don't know if that could be paired up together, but I'd like to do a couple props for the team and also for players, because obviously there's some other ones on there that you've been looking at, and obviously I can't find it because I need to reset my password apparently. Right. So I mean that's the biggest thing is I think that would be a huge one. And then I would look at possibly having certain Antonio Gibson or J.D. McKissick catches and stuff like that. I would look at stuff like that too.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some things to look at there as far as some of the props here before the season starts. So all you betting folks out there, you got some time here before Sunday. Before we move on to kind of the back half of the show, we did want to mention there's a couple changes in the realm of Washington Commanders, and a couple of them. One, they had this new mascot reveal, and then also we have this new song reveal. So the mascot is Mando. Mando the mascot, which just makes me think of that Star Wars show, The Mandalorian. That guy's name was Mando. He is. Here's the press release here. Mando is an 8-month-old English Black Lab Retriever.
English.
He's. There's a little thing here. Puppies are motivated by all sorts of things: food, cuddles, and play. For Mando, it's treats. Just in case you're wanting to know that. Mando, whose final name was chosen by Commanders players, he'll make his debut at the team season opener on September 11th against the Jags. I really don't. I mean, he's got like some military background stuff. I don't know what that means. I don't know if he was like a sniper in the army or something. But he's Mando. He's our new mascot.
He's Mando.
He's Mando, and I don't know if I care about Mando. I'll be honest. I mean, it looks cute. Doesn't impact my life whatsoever. This Mando, the Black Lab, existing. He's not really a mascot, right? Because does this team even have like a mascot that's going to be like running around the stadium at this point?
Real quick, I just logged in 57 days since my last login. Can you believe that? That must be a record.
Jesus.
Wow. Maybe I just ran out of money actually. Is
Mando going to, because Mando's a real dog. I understand that.
Yeah.
But is there going to also be like a guy that dresses up in a little outfit and runs around and
as the Mandalorian?
Maybe.
But see, that's the thing is I think they're trying to go too much like, oh, this is Uga from Georgia, this is the bison from Colorado. Like,
right. It doesn't feel as authentic.
I don't want to have like a little doghouse sitting there and say, oh, there's Mando. It's like, it's just, I mean, it takes away from the tradition because now like people, and the funny thing is they actually had a poll. Now I heard it on the radio that they had a poll. I didn't vote for it or anything like that, but I heard that the overwhelming favorite was a hog. And that's the funny thing is I think that kind of blew up in their face because everyone said the hog. But then when you, had people say like, oh, well, what about the hog? And then all of a sudden, like homers were like, well, they should have named it the hogs in the first place. It's like, and which is true. But at the same time,
of the mistake they made. Yeah,
exactly. So they're like, oh, we're just going to go with a nice looking English dog.
Yeah. So what connection is that to anything? And then you have this debacle here with the song that I'm sure many of you have heard.
A lot of drums. I don't know if we really need that many drums.
Are they going to...
Yeah.
Hail to the Commanders.
She's singing, man.
That's her singing? Oh, okay. Yeah,
that really pumps me up, man.
Yeah, this is awful. It feels very weird. Like
she's like a gospel singer.
Right.
Nothing against her, but she's just sitting there like she's singing, Holy Night on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, that definitely feels like a Christmas singer voice.
I don't want to see Jahan Dotson, juke, I don't know, Trayvon Diggs out, and all of a sudden he goes in for a 77-yard score, and all of a sudden we hear, Aretha Franklin, just belting out notes. Like, it makes no sense.
I'm very confused. I don't understand the vibe they're going for here. I mean, football is one of those sports that like energy and atmosphere is like a crucial part of the game. And like, so if we're talking about this team, suddenly let's say it's the fourth quarter and this team just pulls off a great drive and scores late and takes the lead. We're having like to keep and everyone's going nuts. It's like to keep the energy going. We're playing that. We're playing like this like you said, this gospel singer singing variation of the old song kind of in a way, but definitely not the same pace, not the same rhythm. Like it's a very weird move. It's an unnecessary move in my
opinion. Well, that's the funny thing too, is think about the Monday Night Miracle when we were down 13-0 and all of a sudden Brunel, sexy lefty, goes out there and chucks 2 bombs up to Santana Moss. Obviously it was in Dallas, so it's a little bit different, but say that was at FedEx or even RFK or whatever, or UPS Stadium as the new one's probably going to be called.
Right.
Think about that, and all of a sudden you hear that song where she's literally saying one line of the song in like 15 seconds, and you're just like, man, this is really dragging on. And then, like I said, nothing against her, but the biggest thing about that is it's like awful. That puts me to sleep. That doesn't want to get me pumped up. And think about this, okay? Listen to the song that the Vegas Golden Knights have for their entrances and stuff. They're using John Wick 2 music,
right?
And that's the biggest thing. Like that was when they were playing the Caps in the Stanley Cup, and I had that on my phone because it's sick. It's like boom, it's like they're getting you pumped up to go to war,
right?
And all of a sudden, this lady is basically out there
taking me to church, man.
She's taking me to church and looking at the lighting of the Christmas tree.
Yeah,
it's just like I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I just don't get for a sport that like thrives on like
physical violence
and stuff. It's like, what are we doing? Yeah, that's brutal. Thank God I won't be going to any of those games because screw that stadium. Let's move on into a little bit of a lighter topic here as we move into the Sultan of Seltzer. Is making
it's been a while.
Glorious return as he puts on his Sultan hat, as Sultans do.
Things a little dusty. Hasn't been used in a while.
It's the Sultan of Seltzers, people, where our Sultan here rates a seltzer.
My head's getting bigger.
Appeal, taste, and overall rating. Right now, the leader in the clubhouse is the Wild Basin Black Raspberry at 8.4 out of 10, followed by the Truly Classic Lime Margarita Style at 8.2. Then you got the Three Birds Hard Seltzer Mango Lemonade 7.6, Smirnoff Pink Lemonade 7.4, Truly Kiwi Mojito Style Poolside Pack at 6.9. As we near the tail end of seltzer season, once the winter months come, then it's like, I don't know. I don't really feel like seltzers at that time. I'm more of a beer guy when it hits like the late fall, winter, cold. It's hard to pull out a seltzer,
Oh, the problem is that sometimes you got to stick with the seltzers because they're lower calorie.
Because you're the Sultan. Because you're the Sultan. What do we have today?
So the what are we calling this again? It's been so damn long.
The Sultan of Seltzer.
Yeah, okay, I didn't know if we had an official title for it.
That is an official title.
I am the Sultan of Seltzers,
yes,
and my review today is a new flavor from the Claw that is white. The Claw that is white. The White Claw Hard Seltzer Passion Fruit.
New flavor.
Now, okay. I believe it's a new flavor. I've never seen it before besides this past weekend. So we decided to grab a little variety and we went with it. So the White Claw Passion Fruit.
Let's see the first we judge by appeal.
Appeal.
I know it's been a while.
Sorry, man. It's just I'm all out of. But White Claw, it's always so bland because all they do is just write a new lettering on there. It's not really anything spectacular except for the surge. So it
looks like the passion fruit arrived in February of this year.
It looks like the Washington Commanders colors.
It does. It does have the Commanders. So this is a 2022 new flavor. February is when it came out.
Yep. 5% alcohol, obviously 100 calories, gluten-free for the gluten people out there, and 2 carbs as usual, 2 sugars. So let's crack open this
sipperoo here for the Sultan of Seltzer.
Ooh,
as he's going to take a taste, and then he'll give his overall rating here. I'm not a giant Claw guy. I definitely prefer the Truly side of things, but
me too.
But I think the
definitely
Claw,
today too.
Claw is for the lower brow, like
The peons.
Claws are like your Hicks version of like seltzer. It's for the lemmings. It's for the losers out there, the claws.
Yep.
A true man drinks truly lemonades.
I want to yeah. The people in Westeros, the people from King's Landing.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, the regular Trulies are
So
for
what's
the people
some of
on
the
the
initial?
wall.
What's are you getting initial hints of passion fruit?
God, that's so bad.
Oh no,
That's so bad. It's just like, there's those fruits out there.
There are fruits
that you just shake your head out like a dragon fruit. Like, what the hell? What are you eating? Eat an apple.
Yeah, dragon fruit's pretty wild.
Yeah, and then there's like a mandarin or something like that kind of fruit.
Mandarin. Yep, that's a language.
Yeah, whatever that one's called.
No, that's a language. Yeah, I mean it's a fruit too. It's a fruit too. A mandarin orange. I think it's a variation of one.
I don't even know what a passion fruit looks like. It looks like
know.
a mango or something.
My guess is it's not a real fruit and it's more of like a combination. But I could be completely wrong, as Google has revealed. No, passion fruit is a real thing.
Well, I hope it is.
It looks pretty disgusting, honestly. It looks like it has like maggots inside. So.
Oh, that's great.
God, I told you that. So what do we have a rating here?
Oh, yeah, we do have a rating. So the appeal, boring, lame.
Right.
Taste, ass. This is so bad.
Oh, well, that could be good for some people.
It's just not good, man. It's not.
Is it worse than the lowest rating that you have here, which was the Truly Kiwi
easily,
Mojito stuff?
easily.
Wow, how low are we going here?
Oh, we're going official. Okay, we got the official.
Oh, okay, I got to get the.
Hurry up.
Yeah, okay, drum roll. Here we go.
Got to make sure we fit this in a TikTok.
Yep.
The passion fruit White Claw new flavor is a 4.1.
4.1. Wow.
They call that awful. Oh my God. I'll still drink it. Don't get me wrong. I'm still gonna drink it.
Oh yeah.
But not gonna be wasteful. But 4.1, and it's not even a 50%. It's not even an F on the grading scale for it. This is like so far below that it's just falling off the cliff.
Rough. That's rough. Let's. Oops, I clicked the wrong thing. I was trying to remember if we do trivia before the final lap or after the final lap.
Trivia is before.
Trivia is before. Okay, and so I've got a little surprise for you because I'm going to be giving you a trivia question.
Oh, okay.
So around. And not a Detroit sports one, a Washington sports one.
Oh, nice.
I've got one pulled up here. So this is our.
Gonna keep the hat on again.
Yeah, keep the hat on, please, for the rest of the show. So this is our DC Sports trivia section. Usually Mike asks me a trivia question. I almost always get it wrong. And then you at home can laugh at me. But for this one, I'm going to ask Mike a question. We'll go back and forth each week. It's not going to be like just me asking it from now on or anything.
Great.
My question for you, Michael, is what college did Patrick Ramsey go to? What college
That's
did
it?
Patrick Ramsey go to? He was the 32nd overall pick in the 02-03 draft, and of course playing for your Washington Redskins. Do you recall the college that he attended?
Okay, I get one question.
You do?
Is it in the ACC?
Certainly not.
Oh.
Let's see. I mean, I know that they aren't.
Okay.
It is an FBS team.
Yeah.
I'm
going 32nd, I would hope.
Do I want to give you a conference? Okay, sure, I'll give you a conference. They're in the American Conference.
Oh, Jesus Christ. American. Well, my first thought was Miami, but that obviously is not right. American.
Not.
Who the hell is in the American Conference?
Yeah, it's a rough one there.
So it's the AAC?
Is that
American Athletic Conference?
Sure.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, AAC. Yeah.
What's their mascot?
I will say the mascot. I
probably got it wrong no matter what.
The mascot will fully give it away.
Oh. Well, it's not.
They are located in New Orleans.
New Orleans,
Louisiana. Their head coach has been around 7 seasons so far. I'm trying to think of what else I can say.
American.
Yeah.
Jesus.
This is a tough one.
Is Jesus their mascot?
I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have known that Patrick Ramsey is from this school.
Well, I recognize like I can see a picture of him in a uniform, but I can't make it out.
Yeah, Mac Brown coached at the school for 1 year. Interesting. He took him to the Independence Bowl in 1987. In case you were curious.
I can't come up with it. If it's Louisiana, is it Louisiana Monroe?
No, that's not a bad guess though. No, this is the mascot is the Green Wave.
Oh, Tulane.
Honestly,
I'm not gonna lie. I thought Tulane was in a totally different side of the country.
You know, with those types of schools, with the Tulanes of the world, it's like, who would know? Who would know what state they're in? You know, that's the crazy thing. But now you do know, and now you can tell your friends. Patrick Ramsey, you can quiz your friends at home as well. You know,
it's exactly what I was going to do next.
If anybody's curious, Patrick Ramsey played for the Green Wave of
Green
Tulane.
Wave.
Not a lot on the final lap here, but we're going to talk about some of the other headlines in sports, starting with, and I know this one's pretty interesting to you, Mike, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mitch Trubisky is named the starting quarterback for the Steelers, so your boy Kenny Pickett drops down to the third spot in the depth chart.
Not surprised whatsoever. Obviously, Kenny Pickett was, basically the most pro-ready quarterback, but you already had Mitch Trubisky, and he's probably already looking pretty decent in camp. Why would you go get Mitch Trubisky and then sit him on the bench? There's no really point for that. I think their main goal is to have Kenny Pickett sit behind Mitch Trubisky. Mason Rudolph is a I don't even know why he's on the roster.
Yeah,
but Mitch Trubisky, he's going to sit there, and they're hoping possibly that he goes out there, balls out, and all of a sudden they can maybe trade him or something like that to a team that needs him. And then all of a sudden Kenny Pickett comes in there and slides in there, just like he fake slid in the bowl game last year.
Two-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders retires after 12 seasons in the NFL. He announced his retirement today, 35 years old.
Well, the funny thing is that last 3 years of his career, it's like he'd always catch a random pass. You're like, wait, he's on this team? Like you'd always just remember that he's still playing somehow. It's kind of crazy.
U.S. men's national team soccer player Miles Robinson was arrested for a misdemeanor over a $5 shot. He had he stole basically at this bar near Truist Park in Atlanta. This guy refused to pay for a $5 shot that he had taken off of a drink tray, and then the bartender told management, who then got the police involved and ends up being charged with a misdemeanor. And he, after being detained by police, Robinson was told all he had to do was pay for the drink and he could leave. And according to the report, Robinson just responded, "All this over $5, bro," and called the bartender racist and things like that. So have you ever not stolen a $5 shot, but when it comes to like bills at bars and stuff like that, have you ever like accidentally skipped out on a tab or any sort of like weird payment story?
That's the thing, is I'm always so wary of doing that, because I'm always like, man, I really don't, because they're always like, oh, they're going to take 25% of the bill.
I'm always terrified of that too.
Yeah, so I'm always like, all right, like what's the game plan here, guys? Like it's our last one or whatever, maybe. Like, all right, well, what's it going on here? So we used to do the move back in college where it'd be me and my buddy, and we would just do tag team style, where we would literally, I would go to the bar, get 2 beers, bring one for him, then he would go to the bar next, and we would just do it single bills the entire time, so we didn't have to have a tab. Not to mention that when you're in college town, I mean, there's a million people everywhere, so the problem is that when you go there, they're all, I'm on his tab, like you don't want any of those guys, those jagaloons. So that's that. I've never done that. That's a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, it is always, it's a little scary when it's one of those bars where like they take your card and they hold on to it, and that's kind of one of those ones where you're like, man, I sure hope I see my credit card again. Like, you're kind of like, all right, here we go. Yeah. They hold on to it. Now, a lot of places don't hold on to it. They just scan it, or they slide it and then they've got it. But I've been in that situation where like, I remember once I was like, I wasn't even drunk, but I like was at a bar, and the lady, when I was just trying to like close my tab or whatever, and this lady was giving me so much attitude. It was
great,
pretty unbelievable.
I can believe it.
Yeah, I was pretty pissed. But yeah, that is your that is your final lap. Before we end this episode, we do want to hit up the money line. sponsored by DraftKings, a chance to give you some picks of the week. We're kind of starting new here, starting fresh. Football season's here. Now we get into more of the season where I'm like, all right, I'm more confident in our picks. Because before we're picking baseball, we're picking NBA, we're picking all this over the place. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Football is where we live and breathe when it comes to betting. So we've got our locks and our dogs here. I'll start off. My lock, I'm going Alabama. -20 versus Texas. I think I could see some people thinking the play could be, hey, Texas is a little bit better, not better than Alabama, but a little bit better than maybe they were last year. Maybe they could hang in there and cover. I still think Bama is just, they had Bryce Young in for like a half last game because they were like, we don't need this guy getting hurt. We don't need a lot of these guys getting hurt. Bama is really, really good. I think they blow out Texas. Definitely win by 3 touchdowns. My dog, I don't think that Northwestern is that good. I think they did look pretty good against Nebraska in the overseas game, but I think that they're still Northwestern, and Duke always kind of, they just come out of nowhere sometimes and put together a good game. So I'm saying Duke covers at 9.5 versus Northwestern. I think Northwestern's just not. I think they're overrated. I think they're not that good. So I'm going to take Duke covering 9.5 against Northwestern.
What a hell of a game, Duke versus Northwestern.
Yeah, I will be the only one watching that game.
I don't know. Is that a debate team tournament?
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell that
quiz
is.
Bowl for sure.
So my lock of the week: Carolina versus Cleveland. -1.5 for Carolina. Carolina laying the 1.5 points with Baker Mayfield facing his former team. I think honestly, Carolina's just going to say, hey, go do what you did at Oklahoma. Just run around, do whatever you want to do. You're fully healed, from what I heard. Go around there and you're really going to go out there and play. Who is it? Who's the quarterback for Cleveland right now? It's Jacoby Brissett. So it's sorry, his name was spacing me for right now, but you're going out there playing Jacoby Brissett, who I think is average at best. And then you're going out there against Cleveland. And yeah, Cleveland has a good team, but Carolina with Baker Mayfield at the helm, you got DJ Moore, you got some weapons there. CMC is fully healthy. So you know what? Laying the 2, I'll take that all day. And my dog is, I'm going back to the age-old additive here that me and you have been talking about.
I love this pick.
I literally went through a ton of picks and I was like, you know what? I'm going with Hawaii plus 51 at
the
Michigan.
Mortgage on this, people. 51 points. Are we really thinking that Michigan is going to cover 51?
This is in honor of Lene Kakua. Rest in peace.
Yeah, there we go.
And you know what? Manti Te'o,
51.
It's
I mean, Mike, it's like
the Warriors.
You get up like 30. You start working in some of the other guys, and especially when you're playing a Hawaii team, it's like 50. Like, look, I mean, Hawaii got spanked by Vanderbilt, so obviously, hey, Hawaii's not looking that great, but still 51. Bet
and Michigan ain't Bama like I bet last time with Bama and New Mexico State.
Right, exactly. No,
51 though. It's like, come on, man. Like half if they get up by say 38, you really think they're going to have their starters in? Now they could obviously score 2 more touchdowns because Hawaii, I guess, is playing 5 people.
Western Kentucky put up 49 on them last week. It was 49-17. Vandy put up 63 the game before. I mean, but still, it's 51. That's insane.
That's like betting like a plus 97.
Yeah, I like the dog pick there. I will be very upset for you if that doesn't hit because you know me. I love that play as well. It worked for me in week 1 or week 0. I did play. There was like a big spread that worked out in my favor.
I'll throw a few pesos on there, and I'll just roll the dice a little bit.
Yeah, let me keep me posted on that. Those are our picks of the week. Bet responsibly, this is the best time of year to be a sports bettor. It really is. Football's here, NFL's here, all that good stuff. Thursday nights, we got the Rams, we got the Bills. As we talked about this top of the show, definitely taking the Bills here on this one. Yep. I got Josh Allen on my fantasy team, so I'm ready to rock with him all season long. So I'm hoping he puts up an MVP season for sure. Hope he gets me back in the title game for fantasy. Would be nice. Just missed the playoffs last year after being the champion the year prior. I'm ready to go right back to the ship, Mike. I got a little taste of what it's like to be on top and be a king. I'm ready to go right back there. I'm riding Josh Allen all the way to the finals.
I would too. Honestly, I'm just hoping to see this weekend. I'm hoping to see Mando race a cheetah or a jaguar. Race a jaguar, not a cheetah.
Or him maybe bite bite one of the other players or something. He takes out Trevor Lawrence's ankle before the game, and they're like, he's a dog. Like, we can't. What are we supposed to do?
He can't control him.
Yeah,
he's rabid.
Then I'll root for Mando. If Mando does some shady stuff like that, I'm a fan. At that point.
Yeah, or they have a guy, like you said, dressed as a Mandalorian come out there and just start flying around.
That works
hey, Daniel Snyder has the money. He can do it.
That works too. We are just about done, and we'll be ready to come back next week for and break down week 1 and all that good stuff. This has been another episode of the DC crossover. Our boy John, what's his name?
John Z.
John Z.
I haven't heard from him in a while.
Shout out to the Contender, wherever they are. We'll see you next week. This has been another episode of the DC crossover.